understand who he was, but they were amazed by his person. The second thing, when Jesus formulated a team, now you look over here in Mark chapter 5, and you go to verse 22, 23. It says, then came one of the rulers of the synagogue, Jairus by name, seeing him. Who? Jesus. He's caught up in the man. Seeing him, he fell at his feet and implored him earnestly, saying, my little daughter is at the point of death. Come and lay your hands on her so that she may be made well and live. And he went with him. So it's all about the person of Jesus. The person of Jesus. So he was moved by this amazing visionary. But over here in 36, Jesus took him to the next level of faith. And he says, but overhearing what they said, well, what did they say? Go back to verse 35. While he was still speaking, there came from the ruler's house some who said, your daughter is dead. Why trouble the teacher any further? So here's somebody saying, it's too late. It can't be fixed. This is a circumstance where faith will not work. This is something that God cannot do because it's your fault and you made the bad choice and now you have undesired consequences in your life. You do not have the right to ask God to bail you out. That's a lie. See, we always have the right to mercy. Mercy. We have the right to mercy. And God often gives us what we don't even deserve. It's called mercy and grace. So grace is when he gives you something you don't deserve. And mercy is when he holds back a consequence you know you deserve. Does anybody have a consequence that mercy stepped in the midst of? Does anybody have a consequence that wasn't going to end right, but mercy stepped in and said, I'm going to take care of this one. This one is on me. I want you to understand that mercy, and you have a right to mercy. Now, what am I teaching now? I'm teaching the vision of God. See, it goes, the disciples and your team may be caught up in the awesome visionary. But then they move to the point where you get caught up in the amazing vision of God. God's plan for your life. God's destiny for your life. God's thoughts over you. I want you to know that there is a vision. Well, over there in Proverbs 29, it says, well, there's no vision, Natalie. The people will perish. Well, there's no vision, people will perish. Well, what is vision? What's vision really translated right quick in the Hebrew? Vision is divine insight and instruction from God Almighty. That's all vision is. See, vision is not an idea. Vision is not an illumination. Vision is not an epiphany. If it comes from you, it ain't vision. If it comes from them, it's not vision. If it comes from society, it's not vision. It's just an idea. Some ideas work, some ideas don't work. But vision always comes to pass. See, that's the power of being vision-driven in your life. Not visionary-driven, vision-driven. I gather you here around this vision of City of Faith Church. I gather you to be a part of City of Faith Church, not about me. Don't gather around me. Gather around the vision of City of Faith Church and what God desires to do here. See, one of the first steps in building a church is that there's a congregation that begins to form. The congregation will begin to form, whether it's an official congregation or an unofficial congregation. There are some people here that have been here every day for the last 30 days. Some of them haven't joined. But there are some who have joined who's also been here for the last 30 days. And what I'm saying is, bottom line is, you're gathering as a congregation. And that's how God begins to do it. He begins to assemble individuals around the vision. Then the church can go forward. See, the first step when you build a church, they assemble around the visionary. And those who assemble around the visionary, only thing the visionary got to do is walk wrong one day, prove that he or she is human, and they gone. But when they assemble around the vision, they have a firmer foundation upon their feet. And I want you to start communicating the vision that God has over your life. Because those are the people who God is sending by your side to be with you long term. As long as you communicate what car you drive, as long as you communicate what kind of clothes you wear, as long as you communicate where you live, as long as you communicate where you work, as long as you communicate how much money you have, all of that's surface stuff. That's not who you are. But when you start communicating the deep desires and passions and secrets that God has placed upon your heart, and you start communicating that everywhere you go, then you start becoming your vision. And then, like a magnet, you will start attracting those individuals to help you bring that which God is speaking through you to come to pass. So I want you to see that certainly that's the first thing Jesus does. Now the second thing, I want you to understand that God is sending people. City of Faith Church will not pay its bills without people. I will assure you on that. Without the faithful support of his people. Not going to do it. City of Faith Church is not going to be able to serve the community without the faithful support of the people getting involved. City of Faith will not be able to operate in its special ministries and gifts if the individuals do not get involved with their special talents. It's just certainly will not happen. Same thing in your life. But the other thing, and I want you to stay with me, is that Jesus not only developed the team, he then began to reassign the team. And he assigned them along the lines of affinity, and he assigned them, and look here in your word, along the lines of affection. When you look at, let's go to verse 37, then look at verse 40. 37. And he allowed no one to follow him except Peter and James and John, the brother of James. Now, you see this everywhere in the gospel. Jesus called an inner group.